Modern life demands we live at two entirely different, contradictory speeds. On one side, the pressure to hustle and optimize every second for ambition. On the other, the instruction to let go, be zen, and detach entirely from outcomes. These simplistic ideologies fail when real disaster strikes. You simply cannot meditate your way out of total ruin, and you cannot hustle your way out of deep grief. Over a century ago, the English author Rudyard Kipling stared down this exact paradox. His answer took the form of a single poem, If. Kipling wrote this as an intimate survival guide for the human soul, intended specifically for his son rather than a public audience. Over the decades, it has been misread as a stiff upper lip, macho checklist, a set of rules telling boys to simply suppress their feelings. A closer read reveals a sophisticated psychological map. It suggests maturity comes from mastering the precarious tightrope between life's greatest extremes. The poem opens with the tightrope of the ego. It begins by demanding you maintain self-belief when the rest of the world turns against you. You must trust your own judgment, even when every person around you says you're wrong. Kipling immediately attaches a counterweight to keep you from falling into arrogance. You must simultaneously pause and consider why they are doubting you, remaining open to the possibility that you might actually be mistaken. This is the poem's definition of internal integrity, keeping a level head amid chaos and doing the right thing, while avoiding the trap of acting morally superior or preaching to others. Looking directly at the text of the first stanza here on page 266, we can see this tension in the phrasing. The instruction to trust yourself when all men doubt you is immediately locked to the condition, but make allowance for their doubting too. Foundational maturity requires a specific psychological feat, holding unshakable self-belief and profound humility in your mind at the exact same time. The second stanza introduces the poem's famous pairing of extremes, triumph and disaster. The text asks you to look at world-altering success and crushing, humiliating failure and treat them as identical. By calling them both imposters, Kipling applies a Stoic concept. Neither state is permanent, and neither defines who you are. The poem then pushes past psychological defense to demand an ultimate physical and material test. It asks if you can take your entire life's work, everything you've spent decades building, and risk it all on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose. If that structure collapses, the required response is to pick up whatever worn-out tools you have left and begin building again in complete silence, never breathing a word about your loss. If we look closely at the text across these sections, Kipling deliberately capitalizes the words triumph, disaster, and will. He personifies them, turning abstract concepts into living, breathing adversaries you have to wrestle with. Resilience is the silent, immediate willingness to look at absolute zero and start building again. The final stanza turns outward to the extremes of social pressure. It tests your ability to walk with ordinary crowds and then to walk alongside kings. Blending in too much with the crowd risks sacrificing your individual virtues to the mob. Rising to the highest halls of power risks losing the common touch and becoming disconnected from everyday life. The solution provided is to cultivate an internal compass that is isolated from social gravity. Your personality and values must remain identical, regardless of whether you are speaking to a beggar or a monarch. Social mastery means you operate from a core that cannot be warped by the need for external validation or the fear of intimidation. The poem's power comes from its structural design. The entire piece is one continuous sentence built on escalating, precarious conditions. If you can trust yourself, if you can wait, if you can bear to hear the truth. It stacks this tension for 30 lines, resolving at the end with a single, unavoidable then. If you can balance all of those extremes, the father promises two specific rewards: inheriting the earth and everything in it, and becoming a man. While the phrase being a man reflects the era it was written in, the core definition reaches far beyond gender. It is Kipling's term for arriving at transcendent human maturity. Character is forged through the discipline of walking the tightrope and squeezing 60 seconds of distance out of every unforgiving minute.